All right, Nisner, so let's go ahead and move on now. We already talked about PACs, premature atrial contractions. Now what we're going to do is we're going to determine how to determine the rate and rhythm for PVCs, so premature ventricular contractions. So how to notice them, how to determine the rate, how to determine if there's a specific pattern to them. All right, so let's imagine, again, just like we saw with the ectopic atrial focus that we saw up and within the atria, there could be some type of irritable focus, right? In the same way, you could have some type of irritable focus within the ventricles. And this little dude, he can be a little agitated. What can agitate this ventricular focus? So let's say here's our ectopic focus, right? So there's a little irritated tissue. What irritates this little dude? It could be hypoxia, right? So obviously low oxygen within the blood, whether that be because our red blood cells are decreasing, so it's anemia, whether it be due to some type of lung issue like COPD, asthma, pneumonia, pneumothorax, who knows? Or whether it be due to a decrease in cardiac output, maybe congestive heart failure, cardiogenic shock, obstructive shock, something like that where you're not getting enough oxygen flowing through the blood for whatever reason. That can cause this little dude to become irritated and to fire action potentials off. Okay, what else? It could be due to electrolyte abnormalities. So sometimes certain types of electrolytes, maybe potassium, maybe calcium, sometimes as there's fluctuations within these cations, there can be agitation to these cells and they can fire, okay, undesirably. It could also be due to increased sympathetic nervous system activity. So anything that really increases your sympathetic nervous system, so your flight or flight system, right? And that's going to increase your epinephrine and norepinephrine activity on those beta adrenergic receptors, right? And that's going to agitate those dudes. What else could it be? It also could be stimulants. So in the same way, these are sympathomimetic. This could be due to cocaine, right? So cocaine. It could be due to ADHD medications like methylphenidate or methamphetamines. It could be multiple different things, right? But basically, this is one of the reasons why these little irritable focuses can actually fire off these action potentials. Another reason, we didn't talk about it with the atria, but to kind of go off of it, it could also be due to infarcted tissue. Or another way we can kind of say this is scar tissue. So let me explain what I mean by this. Let's say here in the myocardium, there's this little infarcted tissue right there, right? And it's trying to, basically you want to conduct action potentials. And so here's this action potential moving along the ventricles, right? So it went up the bundle, down the bundle branches, it's going through the Purkinje system, and it encounters this infarcted tissue. Well, it can't go through it because this infarcted tissue doesn't conduct action potential. So it has to go around it. What happens is whenever this kind of stuff happens, it can create a re-entrant circuit. And these re-entrant circuits can actually kind of let action potentials flow off of them and generate heart rates that are extremely high. And this is what can make it very dangerous. So one thing I want you to remember is these can create what's called re-entrant circuits. And again, we'll get into more detail in this when we get into the more pathophysiology of this stuff. Just introducing you to this stuff. All right, cool. So we got kind of an idea of what the heck these PVCs are, what triggers them, and basically how they're generating these things. All right, let's go ahead and knock these things out then. What do? Rate. Let's count all the R waves or S waves in this case. Here's an R wave. This is an S wave. Okay? R wave, S wave. R wave, S wave, R wave, S wave, and again an R wave. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's going to be 9. This is a 6-second rhythm strip, so you multiply it by 10. That's equal to 90 beats per minute. Okay? So that's going to be the rate on this dude. All right, next thing we do, we determine the R to R interval. Okay? With this situation here, again, you're kind of going off of this this PVC here. So let's imagine here, we kind of take it from this point here, and we go to this guy. So 1, 2, maybe a half. Then we go to the next one. So we're going to go to this point about here. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3. Ooh, it's already off, right? So that's definitely off. We move to the next one. You go from here. You got 1, 2, and you got about a half. Then you got 1, 2, 3, and again, I got about a half here as well, okay? So we're definitely throwing kind of a irregular R to R interval here, or we can actually say R to S, and then again, R to S interval here. But again, we're kind of showing the same kind of thing here as you move along. This is definitely irregular in nature. So we have an irregular rhythm here. All right, so let's go ahead and move on here. So do we see P waves? P waves, here's a P wave, but then before the QRS complex, is there a P wave? I don't really see one. Okay, it might not be a P wave there. Here's another P wave. I can't really see a P wave here before this QRS complex. There's a P wave there. Again, I don't really see a P wave here before this QRS complex. P wave. Okay, so as it seems here, there is some P waves. But again, if we kind of follow this, and this kind of answers our next question here, there's not a P wave for every QRS. There is for these normal ones, but whenever we get to these abnormal like PVCs, there's no P wave. So there is some AV dissociation here. Dissociation. Okay, and again, why is that? Is because I don't really see a P wave before we're going into the QRS complexes for these PVCs. Okay, so that's an important thing to realize. All right, cool. What about the QRS complexes? Are these suckers wide or narrow? Well, remember, PVCs, these things are firing from these little these ectopic areas. There could be a re-entrant circuit, or it could be an irritable ectopic focus. When they fire, they're not going to go through your normal bundle branch system, right? So they're not going to be going from the SA node. They're not going to be going through the AV node. It's not going to be going through the bundle of His and into the right bundle branch and left bundle branch. It's going to be traveling in an abnormal way. So because of that, let's go ahead and take here, this point here, and we're going to go to about this point here. And we're going to count the boxes. So 1, 2, 3, I'm at about 4 boxes. So if I'm at around 4 boxes, maybe 3 or 4 boxes, little boxes, that is obviously a wide QRS complex. So these suckers are definitely wide. And again, I could try to do another one over here, about there to about there. And again, 1, 2, 3, and again, about 4. So about 4 little boxes, that's definitely going to be greater than or equal to 3 little boxes. So this is definitely a wide QRS complex. Now, this should be something that you need to remember. The wide QRS complex is because these PVCs that we see, this one right here, this is our PVC. This is a PVC. They're not going through your normal conduction system. They're coming from either an irritable focus or from a re-entrant circuit. And they're not going through your normal conduction system. If they don't go through the normal conduction system, in other words, SA node to AV node to the bundle of His, we want to put BH there, to the bundle branches, to your Purkinje's, then it's not going to have that normal narrow QRS complex. So if it's coming from some other site, this ventricular focus or this re-entrant circuit here, it's going to generate these wide and abnormally appearing QRS complexes. Okay, so remember that this is an abnormal QRS complex that's wide. That's because it's not coming from this normal conduction system here. All right, so before I move on to this next EKG, remember I told you guys that this is weird, that these QRS waves are actually going to be like negative in deflection. Go back to the basics. Remember, this is lead 2. Negative electrode here, positive electrode here, right? And then we create like this kind of axis of this lead. Remember, the QRS vector, the mean, you want it to point towards the positive electrode. Well, what if in this case, this ectopic focus is firing, and when it fires, it actually, usually, if it's firing, it might be firing this way, from the left ventricle moving over into the right ventricle. And so it might actually be moving in towards the right ventricle away from this positive electrode. If it's moving, this positive charge is moving from the left ventricle towards the right ventricle away from the positive electrode, what kind of deflection do you get? You should get a negative deflection. So again, that's one thing, that something, if you really are interested in, you can determine if an ectopic focus, where it is based upon the direction of the QRS complexes. Look at your leads. Use that basic stuff that we talked about to determine your vectors and which way they are pointing in association with your lead. So according to lead 2, This most likely is going to be an ectopic focus in your left ventricle moving towards the right ventricle, okay? And maybe even kind of lower within the ventricles as well. All right? So let's move on to the next EKG here. All right, so for the next EKG, let's count up our rate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 times 10 is 120 beats per minute. That's our rate. Let's go ahead and determine our R to R intervals. Oh my gosh, we don't even have to keep going here. It's obviously all fricked up. Okay, so this is definitely not a regular R to R intervals. They're all jacked up. So this is definitely irregular. This is super obvious, okay? Next, go to the P waves. Are they normal? Do you have P waves? Here's a P wave. Okay, this is a T wave here. I don't really see my P wave at all. There's no P wave. If it is, maybe it's kind of hidden within my QRS complex. It might be like hidden in here, but I don't see it. Okay, so no P wave there. Then I go again, and I'm going to have another P wave, a normal one. Then I have a T wave. Then I have another P wave. Okay, cool. QRS complex. And then again, I go over here, I got a T wave, and oh, I don't see a P wave again. All right. Well, remember I told you, anytime you see these wide QRS complexes, and they're coming early, so this is definitely coming earlier than it should, and it doesn't look like a normal QRS complex, in other words, it's really wide, and it's abnormal appearing, this is a PVC. That's a PVC. This is a PVC. That's a PVC. Huh. Well, these PVCs seem to be coming after every 2 normal PQRS complexes, right? So if it's coming after every 2, this is called ventricular trigeminy. Well, let's go up for a second to that one that we just did before. Let's look at this son of a gun. We have a PVC, and it's occurring in between each normal PQRS complex. We call that ventricular bigeminy. It's the same concept as before. All right, cool. We know that we have wide QRS complexes, right? And these are definitely our PVCs, and it's definitely irregular. We have some P waves, but some P waves aren't there. So there's some P waves. And because some P waves aren't there, in other words, there's not a P wave for every QRS complex, there's no AV association. So this is AV dissociation. Next thing, QRS complexes. Are these suckers wide or narrow? This is obviously a wide QRS complex. Okay? And again, we determined that the PVCs have a very specific pattern to them. They're occurring after every 2 normal PQRS complexes, PQRST complexes. Okay? So ventricular trigeminy, if it's after every normal PQRST complex, it's ventricular bigeminy. All right? We have here, let's count up our guy here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 10 equals 80. 80 beats per minute. All right, R to R interval. Look at that. And then look at this. Oh my gosh. This thing's all over the place, right? There's no consistency in these R to R intervals. All right, there might be some consistency here and here, but between this one and this one, there's no consistency. Between this one and this one, there's no consistency. So this is definitely irregular. All right, cool. P wave, do we got a P wave? We got a P wave here. We got a P wave here. I don't see a P wave before that QRS complex. I don't really see another P wave before that QRS complex. I don't see another P wave before that QRS complex. Okay, again, there's some P waves and then some of them are not there. So we're going to put some P waves. So because of that, because there's not a P wave for every QRS complex, what does that mean? Is there association between the atria and the ventricles every single time? No. So there is some AV dissociation. Now here's what I want you to remember. AV dissociation means that there's, again, not every action potential is going through the AV node into the ventricles. All right, so it's not going SA node all the way down to Purkinje's. And again, that is why you're getting these little PVC. So I got a PVC here, a PVC here, and a PVC here. And it happens 3 in a row. Now here's the thing. PVCs can cause palpitations, right? And sometimes we're going to get to another rhythm, which we're going to talk about. This son of a gun looks a lot like something called VTAC. So whenever you have something that is, again, look at the R to R interval here. Is it about the same? Yeah. So what would you call this? It's 1, 2, 1, 2. If something is about the same R to R interval, what is that? It's regular. If you have something that is actually regular and wide QRS complexes, but it's moving at a very fast rate, what will we say our rate is here? Well, it's going to be 300 and 150. Anything greater than 100 is tachycardic. So this is wide complex tachycardia. But we say whenever you have more than, greater than, or equal to 3 PVCs, this is now VTAC. And VTAC is pathological. So you can have PVCs, and PVCs can be completely normal. It could just be because you had too much caffeine, you had a little bit too much coffee. Or maybe you're taking your ADHD medication. It's increasing your heart rate, right? So it's causing an increase in sympathetic activity. So these can be completely normal. But whenever you have 3 of these in a row, it is now considered to be pathological, and we call it VTAC. There's actually a special name for this one. They actually call it a 3-beat salvo. Sometimes they call it a PVC triplet. But again, this is basically considered to be pathological. So whenever you have 3 or more PVCs in a row, it's considered to be VTAC. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So again, what's our QRS complexes here? Wide. We already kind of talked about this. How it was wide complex, regular in interval, regular rhythm, and tachycardic. And we call that VTAC. And these all look the same. That's another thing. If your PVCs all look the same, that means it's coming from one ectopic focus. So only one irritable cell in the ventricles is firing. If you have some that are different in appearance, so in other words, let's say that this one was pointing upwards, but had another one that was this one was pointing downwards, then that would be a different type, right? So this would be another ectopic focus. And sometimes we can call that polymorphic. And we'll talk about a specific type of polymorphic VTAC in a little called torsades de pointes, which is a very dangerous one. Okay? So again, in this, what I want you guys to be able to recognize is how to find PVCs, how to find PACs on the EKG, how to determine if those PVCs and PACs have a particular pattern. In other words, is it bigeminy or is it trigeminy? And most importantly, do I see 3 or more PVCs in a row? If I do, this is now considered VTAC, and that could be a medical emergency. I hope it made sense. I hope you guys really did like it and enjoy it. If you guys did, hit that like button, comment down in the comment section, and please subscribe. Also, if you guys want, go down in our description box. We have links to our Facebook, our Instagram, even our Patreon account. If you guys have the opportunity and you would like to donate even $1, we would truly appreciate that. Helps us to continue to make videos for you guys' enjoyment. In the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk some more about how to determine the rate and rhythm for EKGs representing things like torsades de pointes, how to determine if something is VTAC, and how to determine if someone is in VFib, and we'll talk about what you do in those scenarios. Okay? So again, as always, Ninja Nerds, we love you, and until next time.